Good evening, beardos, weirdos, boils, and ghouls. Hope everybody is doing well. I can't see my chat. There we go. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Wednesday. Keep losing track of which day it is. So it's very blustery in the UK. Tonight's guest is the Paranormal Engineer. He's a relatively new debunker slash YouTuber. And I'll tell you the exact video I found him on because I think it was his first video. And it was called, it wasn't the first one, it was The Paranormal Needs Debunkers. And then I went back to his first video, which was investigating paranormal claims at the Sally House. And he does such a fantastic job. Whereas I forensically, digitally analyze things and I go frame by frame and I'll play with contrast and things, he goes to the locations, looks at the claims, the events, and then sees if there is a logical explanation, how easy they are to recreate. He's very, very good at what he does. And when he's hit 1,000 subscribers in a relatively short time, 1,000.08 subscribers on 42 videos. So fair play. He's got a fantastic sense of humor as well. He did a video called Showing My Support for Sad to the Bone, which made me laugh. But he dropped me a message. He was like, I hope you didn't mind me. And I'm listen, I'm the last person to ask. I'm the last person to stress about offending because I offend everyone. I'm really good at it. So we'll do the participants quick and then we will get in the Paranormal Engineer. But I think you're allowed to call him Mason. The flashlight behind you is off-putting. I can't turn it off now. That one's not got a remote. Thanks, wife. Noted for next time. So tonight we have Alrar, Alison, Alyssa, Amy, Alyssa, Amy and Ozzy, Andy from the Ghost Quad, Anna Aradia, Arts and Craft Lady, Bean Sawyer, Christian, Craig Adams, Crow Judas, Denise Flood, Decepticon Arachnid, Didi, Donna Arnold, Ember, Emma Gray, Fahab, the beautiful man, Ghost in Chat, Glasgow Ghost Hunter Scotland, Granny Dumpling, Highly Paranormal, I'm the Queen of the Underworld, John Tennant, Julie N, Julie Moon, Jurgen Geilen, Karen Young, Crazy Ken, Ladies Fright, Laura Wilson, Lula Moon, Lycan, Mags McLeod, Mama Geek, Mariah, Haunted Hellcat, Matt Lyons, Megan Behind Blue Eyes, Mike's Mysteries, Mr. Badger's Media, The Beautiful Wife, Mrs. Geek, PNC Para History, Papa Geek is in, the father-in-law, Paranormal Monkey Podcast, Justin, I missed another week last night, I'm sorry. Quiltress, Quirky Bird, Rebecca Visnicki, Richard Larson, Roger Bowen, Skaz, Silver Lady, Simon Stevens, Stacey Lynn, Sue Painter, the original Cujo, Theodore Sturgeon, Pink Angel, Waynesville, The Rock Music, Wendy Dixon, Arts and Craft Lady, thank you for the 18 months. And it's not my birthday. You're lucky I haven't got a ban button. Waynesville, The Rock Music, Wendy Dixon, Wendy J, and Wheels, the OG. Hey, Wheels, where have you been? Hope you're well. So without any further waiting, let's bring him in. Useless, bloody useless, Justin. I will fire you and shave your monkey. Good evening, Mason. So, say hello to chat, and then if you could please tell us about yourself, just a roundup of your channel.
Hello, chat. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces in there. So yeah, my channel, I'm a software developer by trade. That's what I do for a living. And so I kind of try to take my thoughts on engineering in there and turn it into, practical ways to debunk. Typically at locations, I do some, debunking from obviously my home. And then I also, I say debunk, but when I'm on location, it's more of just an investigation looking for the truth. But a big part of that is debunking. So I usually say I'm an investigator and debunker. And occasionally I'll get into the tinkering with certain gadgets or breaking down certain gadgets like Ghost Tube. That was one that I looked at somewhat recently.
Yeah,
that's typically what I do on my channel.
So I've been impressed from quite early on because I think I left a comment on one of your videos and you seemed a bit blown away that I knew who you were or I'd managed to find your channel. I still don't know how I found it. Was just one of those sort of random finds and I was like, ooh, Paranormal Engineer. The name is interesting to me. Obviously you're a software developer, but you do away from the software engineering, you're very physical in your investigations. For example, that cubby bear. You spent hours with that bear trying to recreate something after buying it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't take credit for that. I actually have to give some credit to you, and then obviously Kenny Biddle. I come from the school of Kenny Biddle, as I call it, at least. I know many of us do, but specifically, so I grew up a big Ghost Adventures fan, super fan. I started really young, and as I got older, because I started watching so young, I think it was more of a belief than anything else. So I never thought about it very critically. And even as I got older, I went to school, graduated college, started my career. I still believed in ghost adventures, but I also just generally liked ghost stuff and I wanted to go on an investigation myself. So, in prep for an investigation, I ended up finding your channel and you were talking about ghost adventures. And I
Yeah.
looked and I thought, okay, this seems interesting. I'll click it. And I got to be honest, I did not like what you had to say at all because I was like, who is this guy to question the Zach Bagans? And so I watched a bit of it, and honestly, I was a big fan at the time. I had to turn it off. Went back to my ghost adventures, but the more I sat there, the more I started hearing your voice in the back of my head, going, "He's right. I can see it. I can see exactly what he's talking about." And then, so little by little, I stopped watching, and I started watching more of the debunking community. It was about that same time I found the Side Eye guy as well. He has an awesome channel, and then it kind of just went from there. And then
Yeah.
there was another video where it was you and Kenny Biddle watching The House in Between. And I was like, who's this Biddle guy? I need to see what he's about. And I started binging the Skeptical Help Bar videos, specifically
Yeah.
the older ones that were topic based. And
Yeah.
those have so much useful practical knowledge for investigation. And I just kind of started from there and made it to where we're at today. And I couldn't be happier and more thankful to this community for supporting me and helping me get there. So
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I mean, people that put the work in, they go in to get help from me. Not just debunkers. That are debunking adjacent channels that I've tried to help, paranormal channels that are not trying to pull the wool, the guys that go week after week and come home empty-handed. And I enjoy those videos more because where they lack in evidence, they make up for with B-roll and history and to try and make something from nothing. Essentially, they're just in a rumored haunted building looking for the truth. So it's nice to get eyes on people. It's nice when people say it's made a difference. It's a great feeling for me that it does make a small difference to people. But then you've obviously slotted right in with the community as well. Like I see you speaking with other debunkers in the chats and other channels that I watch, and sort of your name's getting around there. I've never heard anyone say, like, obviously I'm quite divisive, but I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, Mason, oh, I don't know, I don't like the way he said that. I don't like the way he did that." You just come across as, even though you're very, very matter of fact, you're very pleasant about it. And I mean, there's something I struggle with. I can't be pleasant sometimes.
hey, it is understandable, and I will say, as nice as I can be, because it is something I try to be a little bit more on the nice side and to think about people who came from my perspective originally, where they are just super fans and they don't want to see the truth, and sometimes it's hard for them to hear it.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was I didn't actually plan on doing the debunking, even when I was watching the debunking community. But I had people in real life who came up to me and they were like, "Have you seen the latest Sam and Colby video? What do you think?" And they knew I was making YouTube videos about ghosts. And that's kind of when it struck me. I was like, wow, okay, so like this. I mean, I have real life friends who really truly believe these guys, and I decided then that I was going to join the community and try to speak more to them directly as
Yeah.
people I really knew well. And so I've tried to keep that even as I've grown. And I think so far it's been working pretty well. I'm glad everyone's enjoyed it.
Yeah. So we see a edited video. Obviously, time is cut down. How long did you spend with that cubby bear trying to find, because to match that shot up? I mean, you were doing it at home as well. You were like, it looks like it was this, and that's where it rolls. How long did it take you in real time to find that?
Okay, so we probably started that process about I know exactly when. We started testing at 1:20 in the morning. I finished testing the Chubby Cub, fully done, and obviously we got it set up probably about 30, 40 times within that period, but the initial test to get it right was about 3 hours, a little over 3 hours, to where I was confident that we had figured it out. And what
Yeah,
we were missing was the little, you know what? Why don't I just what we were missing with the little bear was the idea that it wasn't sitting flush on the ground and it had actually been pushed backwards
yeah,
into the perfect little position right there. And once we figured that out, the recreation process took only about 5 to 10 minutes, but the first one was 3 hours. We'd had to take breaks. My cameraman almost quit. Investigator Bob, I had to give him a couple of breaks during the whole ordeal because we were just sitting there getting frustrated. And obviously, it's a lot of fun, but at the same time, yeah, my back was hurting on that floor after a while.
yeah. But it was amazing because obviously a lot of people thought when I did my thumbnail and title, people thought I was taking shots at a channel that I've always had a lot of time and respect for. I was like, that's not what it was about, because they're there investigating. As far as I'm concerned, to then ring two debunkers that they know are working in the local area, ask for advice and things like that, and then still put the video out and still interact, because I've never had them say anything to me. They've had issues with some people. It is what it is, but it was nice to see a paranormal team, debunkers, and then you go in after and then try to recreate it. And I don't remember any hostility at any point towards anyone, which I find that incredible. That, when people are talking about things like para unity, well, that was it right there. There's the best example of it. A paranormal investigation team calling debunkers, and then another debunker going in, and then everyone conversing. I think it was a fantastic exercise for both paranormal investigators and the debunking community, which I think are the same thing.
I agree. I think, yeah, you said it in a different live, and I remembered it. You said we have para unity for the teams that actually need it, and I think you're spot on. Like Paranormal Quest, they did just about everything right. Like you said, they brought in debunkers. The only thing they didn't have was the power of hindsight, which I had
Yeah.
all the time in the world. I had about a week, so I crammed, but it was enough time to get it right. If I had been there and it would have happened to me, no way I would have been able to figure it out on the spot. It just wouldn't have been possible.
No,
So
you've got to
I
look
think they
at
did a great job.
you've certainly got to look at the human aspect of it. You walk up the stairs, something is out of place. That takes a few seconds to register. Then you see that creepy little face peering at you, and your body's instantly either going to freeze, or for some cases, maybe they'd want to run because something is different and there's eyeballs looking at you. And then you're like, well, where did that come from? We knew where it came from by that point, because they'd done these boots are made for walking, but they spent ages trying to find that and disappearing to go and find a camera and go and find a laptop to play the footage back. So they lost time there to make sure they could investigate on the spot, instead of just saying that was a ghost, dude, bro. We've captured poltergeist activity. Thank you,
Yeah, I
Mike.
do think it shows a good ability on their part to go, okay, we need to solve this, not just capture the activity and move on to the next, which is something I think we see a lot of teams do. They took the time to go in and be like, we need to put this first and figure this out and spend a good bulk of our time doing so. And I thought that was very good of them.
Yeah, and to me, it proved something else, because there was buzz about it. And not just buzz because maybe it was something weird that happened. There was buzz at the communities coming together and stuff. I just found the entire thing a pleasant, nice experience from beginning to end. But the one thing that sticks in my brain is, how long did it take you to drink that glass of wine?
All right, Beardo, you got it. Was for show. I remember when you said that. It was true. It was show on. Well, so I planned to drink it as I went on, but I got so into the explanation, I forgot it was there.
Yeah,
Because I do love doing this. So
yeah, it's such a breath of fresh air because obviously there was a time when people would say debunkers can't debunk because they don't go to locations, which I don't agree with. I think the people like Crow of Judas that doesn't go out investigating anymore or actively investigate, he can. If because he knows video editing, because he knows the tricks of the trade, because he's watched so much content and he can analyze videos and if he sees a wire glint and then he proves where the wire is running, which is one of my favorite debunks from him, then that's him debunking from a chair, from his mum's basement, whatever you want to call it. But he's done his job and he's done his job well there. But that argument is almost, people still say it, but that argument is almost nil and void now because the side eye guy is out investigating. Kenny is an investigator. He doesn't even like being called a debunker. You go into the Garnet house. You've been, was it the Sally house you've been to as well? Goatman's Bridge.
Goatman's Bridge, Sally House, and the Garnet House. And I will say, Crow of Judas was my #1 resource for that video. And I brought in, I think I had Seg and Crow of Judas on that investigation to try to help me with claims. And then, but Crow from the beginning, he's the one who tipped me off and really, really helped me get that right. So big shout out to Crow of Judas. Thank you, man. Seriously.
Yeah, he's I've said it for a long, long time. Crow is one of the most underrated debunkers. I mean, I think all of them are underrated. I think all of them should be sat where I am or higher. Crow, certainly, he's been at this for so long, and even I'm guilty of it. I'll mention like the debunkers, and then after I've edited and uploaded the video, I'm like, oh my, I forgot Crow again. It's not intentional, and I think it's because I talk to Crow so much because he's forever discording me either something funny or dude, I need some advice. Do you do the same as me? Do you read Crow of Judas emails or messages in Crow's voice?
I hear them in Crow's voice. A lot of times they're voice messages. That's the so I don't have to even worry about it. But yeah, he's
got such a distinctive voice that I open his like text messages and I'm like, "Hey, dude." I even put the rasp on.
I can't hear him. The Floridian.
Yeah. So the future, when you started your channel, were you intent on being a debunking channel from day one, or was there something else and then you transitioned?
No, I really thought I was going to go into paranormal tech, but the more I watched, the more I started wondering. I was like, is this where the biggest problems really lie? Am I actually helping the paranormal by creating, and I did have some good ideas for devices, mostly centered around sound triangulation, creating ways for us to pinpoint sounds, because that's something I think in the paranormal field, all the time, people are like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? But they can never pinpoint the source. So new ways to really narrow down the source of a noise would be very helpful. Yeah. But I still don't think it's nearly as big a problem as, as what the debunkers try to face off against. And then, like I said earlier, when my friends in real life started talking to me about channels that were obviously for entertainment and unsure, that was when I decided I was probably going to make the switch. And I still want to do the stuff with tech, but I didn't realize just how hard it is to debunk and then to make these videos. And I mean, it takes so much time and effort to get everything right. And I love doing it, but it is a lot of work. So those have gone on the back burner.
Yeah, you're probably the same as me, where you'll get ideas and then you'll write your ideas down. I use like the notes on my phone, and I'll write down ideas, and then like this morning, I'm like, right, where was that idea? And I'm scrolling. I'm like, I've just got ideas, and because they take so long, I don't know how to pull them off. Or I'll sit down to record something that I've planned, and then I'll see like on one of my monitors a YouTube video thumbnail. I'm like, oh, you captured a ghost, did you? Right, let's get a ghost to walk behind my chair with minimal effort to show how easy it is. And then my videos are completely changed. So do you have that when obviously I go to locations as well. Do you have that when you go to locations? You've got a set, like, I want to do this in this order, and then you get there and you just, sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the size of a building, and I'm like, I don't know where to start.
Yep. So I have multiple of the same notes because I write it the first time and then I get so deep in the rabbit hole, I just start a new one. And so it'll be like Garnet House 1, Garnet House 2. And I've just completely rewritten it, continually rewriting it. Especially especially at the Sally house, I had like a set every 30 minutes. I'm going to do this, all the way down for the whole 8 hours I was there. Didn't even make it halfway through. Started picking and pulling whatever I thought made sense. But it's always you think one thing when you get there, but the second you get there, about half of those good ideas are going to go out the window for a number of reasons. But,
yeah, because I go into a building because my entire thing is, if YouTube is getting these experience with the way they do the YouTube videos, I'm going to recreate that. I should have those experiences. So I go in and then I'm like doing my B-roll. But if I meet up with other people, there's hours gone because we just chat. And then I'm doing my B-roll and then I'm like, right, I think I've got enough B-roll. Oh, it's 2 a.m. Whoops. And then I got a 5-hour drive home tomorrow. Oh dear.
Yeah, I watched this was one thought I had when I watched teams investigate. I don't think I'm adding anything by talking to the walls. And I'm so focused on a lot of the ideas that Kenny Biddle has touched on that I was like, why don't I just try what Kenny does? And that's kind of what I do still. Those videos I believe are more on his CFI channel, but they're such good resources to go and do this. And I've always said, like, I have a engineering background, but you don't need it. You don't need it. It's all practical. It's all very simple, basic understanding of science and not much more. And it's so much fun. I want to see more and more people doing paranormal claims and testing paranormal claims. And I saw in one of your latest videos, what was it? What was the house called? With the blocks.
Oh, the priest cottage.
The priest cottage. That's it. I liked that. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it was the Kenny Biddle's fingerprints all over it. Talk to chat for 2 seconds. I'm going to unplug this light because chat are kicking right off about it. Apparently, it looks like my stream is downloading.
Go for it. I'll bring Mr. Benny Kittle back out. And that was how I kept him involved in the Garnet House investigation. This is Benny Kittle, sometimes referred to as Stanley. That's his middle name, but I want to get him on a T-shirt and put Kenny's beard on him. I think that would be funny.
The problem is Kenny keeps shaving.
I know. I was just about to make the shirt.
Yeah, I've got to a point now where I've watched so much Kenny content. I'm so loyal to Kenny that he can forgive me when I don't watch his content purely because he's shaved. He is one of the only people with a white beard that looks older when he shaves, and it disturbs me. The T-shirt would be hilarious. I think it would, yeah. So, yeah, obviously, I've seen the way you've done the Garnet House. I've seen Kenny doing things at locations, and I've seen Kenny working with other people, and then he's saying, well, what are the claims? Well, if the claim is this, let's do that. Mm-hmm. So later this year, I'm going to one of the most visited locations I've ever gone to, and the team I'm going there with, I was like, right, are you up for doing this a different way? Instead of going in there and talking to walls, I've written basically my own abridged version of what happened with this case, with this poltergeist entity, all of the things that triggered it. I'm going to buy things to replicate what was there. And instead of trying to antagonize the poltergeist, antagonize the ghost, because it's supposed to be dark and evil, let's try to recreate as best we can with trigger objects that were used at the time. So, if I'm not going to say where and how, but say, for example, this is directly from Kenny, I think. There was a claim that they threw holy water at a wall and the wall shook or it bled or something. So Kenny just walks over to it and, well, it doesn't, does it? So that's what that's the plan that we're going to do. There are so many claims at this property, and I don't think I have ever seen anyone say, in this room, this was the claim. let's put whatever. But that's come from watching Kenny and you, because you going to the Garnet house. I found that fascinating. I'm only halfway through it, but you spoiled the end for me earlier.
Sorry. Yeah. The ending is the best part of my opinion. I had regrets about it because I was like, it's such a long video. I feel bad for the people who didn't reach it. But the interesting thing with investigating claims too is I think it's more fun to watch, like from a viewer perspective. Even like talking to walls gets repetitive, but with this, each claim is unique. You get to go in like the Sally house where I leave flowers in different rooms, and then usually something
Yeah.
funny will happen in between. And there's so much to do compared to an investigation where I call it anomaly hunting, where you're kind of more talking to the walls, looking for EVPs, that kind of thing. That gets a lot more repetitive. And so
Yeah.
you can have a shorter video with just as much good information and a bit more, fun for the viewers, I think, on a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's almost you pull the viewer into your video because they're like, oh, what's he gonna find? Oh, I wonder if that is going to like the flower thing. It seems so obvious. Like that's the claim. Why doesn't everyone that go there do that? And it's when you did it, it was like, look how good this guy is, and I'm like, it's fantastic, but it's so obvious, and none of us are doing it.
So the top comment on that video literally just says, "Oh my god, the lights." The biggest part of that investigation, the reason that did so well, was simply because I turned on the lights and I showed people what the Sally house actually looked like with the lights on. And that's another thing is when you go in and you film these really dark cinematic shots, they look awesome,
Yeah,
but you don't get a good sense of the location and you don't get a good sense of like when you watch it. And so it's such a night and day difference that I think people were truly just shocked. And so I always now, it's part of my thing. I investigate with the lights on. You're not going to see me. The Garnet house was a little interesting because they have custom lights that are very annoying. They're red and blue and purple, which I already had a problem with because they make you more prone to seeing things, especially because some of the stuff around seemed to sparkle, which is really weird.
yeah.
But I always think it's better to do it.
I've always wondered why locations that I'll say it. I don't want you to say it. Locations that are trying to pull the wool, because I think there's a number of them in the States, especially. There's a couple in the UK I can think of. I always wonder when they dress these houses up and they try to make them all spooky, why don't they use red and green? Because red and green instantly they don't go together. It's like black and white, but red and green gives you. That's why Freddy Krueger's sweater was designed the way it was. That color combination in stripe form is uncomfortable. I'm like, why don't they do red and green lights? Because it'll make you feel uncomfortable.
My one thought is maybe Christmas, but at the same time, I think you might be giving them ideas. I think it is kind of an interesting idea to test that color theory out.
Yeah, because obviously we talked about infrasound not so long ago. Or I had APRF on, and I was asking you about infrasound in the chat, and I'm thinking, well, if the houses themselves, maybe they're not smart enough to come up with it, or maybe it's too obvious. I'm thinking, well, maybe I could experiment with things like that. I go into a location with a team, and I'll do something with the lighting that I know causes an uncomfortable thing, and then I can record how these guys are feeling, not tell them what the experiment is. I'm not going to tuck anyone up or try to catch them out or anything like that. Just an experience of their feelings from being in a room where I've doctored it somehow, and how that will affect how they view a room just on things like color changes or leaving a window open a crack in the middle of winter. And, are they going to go and check the window? I'm not going to be like, oh, you didn't check the window. I'm not calling you a paranormal investigation team anymore. But the psychological aspect, as well as if I throw holy water at a wall, will it bleed? Because that's the claim. And again, this is because of your discussion with EPRF about infrasound, because it fascinates me. And I wonder how many buildings are using infrasound.
I'm going to assume that there's not many because I think they don't have to. I think the way that a lot of teams go into these places today, it's just unnecessary. Like we saw at the Garnett House, it's easy enough to use ping pong balls and to just have more loose, just place loose items around the house, and you can create some um, seemingly random objects that move on their own that way. And I am being a little careful with what I'm saying. I live in live in the land of lawsuits, so
Yeah.
if I take a little extra time, chat on that. That's why I'm trying to make sure I choose my words very carefully.
So
But
I'll say something because I've already said this to you privately, but I'll say it for chat. I've watched a lot of the big teams go to the Garnet House, and for me, it's always the same things that fall from the same place. Meaning, I think they are being put there because they fall, because they are known to fall, and it's not me being horrible to the Garnet House because I made the same mistake with the Pram at 30 East Drive. I thought it was absolutely incredible, and Kenny was like, "You really, really?" And we're like, "What?" It's just took off, and he was like, "That's how you remember it." Watch footage back. Did it take off? And I was like, "No, it rolled." All right, fair enough. Um, but the house doesn't place that there. Teams place it there. I didn't place it there. It was already there, so I just left it because people leave stuff all over the house. But that house in particular, the Garnet House, I have watched that doll on the top of a door fall over for just about every dude bro and every screamer that goes in there.
yeah,
Um,
I do at the end of that video, I make a pretty bold statement and I say that, look, the investigative teams who have gone here have failed, because in this particular case, it's so blatant.
yeah,
It's blatant in a way. I think I documented at least over 100 items that were set up to fail, like the pram on the stairs at East Drive. Over 100 or so items that had been set up that way, and it was so blatant that I did make me kind of upset with the teams who had came in before me and were unwilling to talk about such an obvious issue, an obvious flaw with an investigation.
yeah,
And it's the reason is very simple. Moving objects make money on YouTube, and YouTube has this reinforcement cycle to want teams to capture crazier and crazier things in order to boost them in the algorithm. More people watch, more people engage, and they make more money. And then those people who watched and saw that awesome stuff want to go experience it for themselves, and they end up going to these locations, and the cycle repeats. And the only person who loses in this situation are the people who want the truth. And
yeah.
it's so upsetting. And it's something I'm not sure we can really fix. But we can at least show it to the public. And that's what I tried to do.
Yeah, we can put the information out there. We can say, look, we've been to these locations. These were my experiences. They don't match up with everyone else. I mean, a channel got so much crap because I was like, that was such a cool thing that happened there. Nobody at any point claimed it to be paranormal, but everyone mistook it as this channel was saying it was paranormal, and they didn't, because the response I got when I told them something has happened, get back to the house, was "F off, I'm eating." I'm like, what? He was like, "It's got wheels on it. Fuck off." Oh, okay then. And it was all taken sort of out of context, and I'm like, listen, the only one that said that was really cool was me. Nobody else. It was me. And the reason I thought it was cool was because it happened to them and it happened to me. But obviously, I've gone back and then obviously I've looked at other videos and I'm like, right, that thing comes down the stairs about 8 times a year. So there's something, the grandfather clock should come down. That square object rooted to the corner that hasn't moved, if that came down, that's what I should be getting excited about. And I've wasted time on that pram. But
I got to
it's
show
all
you
about.
something. Hold on. I keep grabbing stuff off my back thing here. The 2 of 2 Kenny Biddle brick that goes to the top of the stairs. So if this comes flying down the stairs, yes, I will be quite impressed.
Yeah.
But Yeah, and that's something that isn't inherently obvious, even to me, is the idea of micro vibrations.
Yeah.
Like that is an idea I do not blame people for not understanding. It's very complicated. I didn't really understand it until the Garnett House investigation because I had to do way more in-depth research to figure it out. And the ideas of like, cars from outside having an influence on your items in the house. Because when you live there, you don't feel it. You just don't feel it. And so it's easy to overlook, I think. And to
Yeah,
make it
I,
look
I
more paranormal.
I argued black and blue with Kenny about it, and I'm like, but he was there for 3 days beforehand and didn't come down. He was like, yeah, but this is what I'm saying. His first thing was, could the carpet be springing back up, and that's slowly edging it forward? And I was like, have you seen the carpets there? They threadbare. You can see the floor through parts. I was like, it's not the carpet. And then while I'm there, I'm like, right, there's a bus coming. I was waiting ages for a bus, and I'm like, is it hitting the drain lid, and is that causing it? And then when it didn't move, as a bus coming was hit the drain lid, I'm like, well, there's something strange to it. And then what I did wrong was Kenny wasn't telling me that it's not strange. Kenny was telling me I need to investigate exactly why I think it's strange. Investigate properly what could be causing it. But I've got a bit of blindness to 30 East Drive because I've had a fascination with the place. I've had what I think are experiences there. And I saw a comment in the chat earlier, like, what are Mason's opinions on me having experiences there, which is probably a discussion in itself.
I would like to go to 30 East Drive. I've heard a lot of credible people have experiences there. And I do think those hold some weight. The problem is obviously anecdotal stories. We have to take people at their word. And as far as investigations go themselves, you can't. But that doesn't mean they don't mean anything. When I hear you or I hear Justin say, yeah, I had this experience, like I put more stock and more weight in y'all's thoughts than I would somebody I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be really interesting to go there with some marbles with little GPS trackers in them, kind of how they do at those Top Golf kind of places now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can really make them that small or what the logistics of that would be, but it would be cool. And I think, I think so far from the 30 East Drive house, I haven't seen enough to convince me that there's something really strange going on. And one of the big reasons for that is simply because I have a real big problem with audio. Audio is the hydra of paranormal evidence. When you rule out one mundane cause, there are 5 others that take its place. Even for stuff like inside the walls, which I think in one of your clips, like we could hear something very, very close to you that sounded very weird. Like I have no idea what that was. But the problem with audio tends to be that the best we will ever be able to do is go, it was weird. So we have to you have to hope for that 1 in a million, actual
that sound. I know exactly what that sound is, but it was after the fact. I was packing everything away. Cameras are all in the bags and stuff because I slept in that room, and I nudged the cabinet next to me. I was like, that sounded eerily similar. And then I flicked the little brass handle and I kept flicking it. And that's what I was hearing. Then I'm like, but the windows were shut and I'm on the bed with my feet poking towards it, but my legs weren't out. There's a gap between the bed. So I'm like, have I moved my leg all the way over there? I'd have to stretch and I'm trying to, as stupid as it sounded like somebody was just lifting the handle and letting it drop, and it did it enough to wake me up and then continue doing it when I thought I'd turn my camera off. So, and as mundane as that sounds,
the very mischievous kind of claims come from this place, which is interesting to me. It's not your typical run-of-the-mill stuff.
No, and it sounds so mundane because other people go there and obviously stuff is getting thrown every time and they're screaming and running and they're like, why are you so excited? Because maybe a handle moved. And I'm like, because it doesn't happen most places I go. Don't get anything. Most places I go that I have to debunk. People go into buildings, oh yeah, there's knocks on command. And I'm like, every building I go in, there's not even the building settling sounds. Or if there is, I'm so used to them that I just tune them out completely and don't even bother saying, oh, that was just a floorboard cracking. I'll cut them out of editing because it's pointless.
Yeah.
Right. So Wayne's World's got a question. As debunkers and investigators, how difficult is it to call it the truth when getting so much flack from not just the content, but the general public?
Well, obviously, we have such a great community here that does appreciate the work we do, which helps a lot. So when I do get troll comments, they don't really bother me. And actually, I kind of like them because it tells me that I'm reaching an audience of people who actually need to hear the message. Because as much as I love our community and the people in our fan bases, you guys know, a lot of the stuff that we've been repeating to you guys. I know me, Beardo, Kenny have all been saying this stuff for a long time. You guys have a great understanding of it. Some of the people who need to hear it are outside of the community and are more likely to retaliate when this information is given to them, to be more
Mm.
upset. And so when they come into my comments like that, typically it's a good thing because it means we're reaching an audience that needs to hear the message. And I try to remember that when they come in.
Yeah. So obviously, me and you have very, very different demeanors. I'm just me. I'm the same me on camera as off camera. You always come across as you're the same. You're a very chilled, relaxed, thoughtful man, whereas I'm very reactionary and giving it all that. Do you still get negativity in the comment sections as polite and as deep as you go into everything? Because you leave very little room for question, but you welcome
So
question.
yeah, I get a lot less, but there's a few reasons. For instance, obviously channel size. So I'm not reaching quite as big an audience.
Mm.
So that plays a pretty big role. But I do get comments, at least one every few days, where it's something. I just got one on GhostTube that was like, "You're not half as smart as you think you are," and I was like, "If you watched my videos, I tell you it's all practical. I tell you you don't have to be smart. You just need the basics, and anybody and everybody can do the basics, which is great, which is good news." Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's a conversion rate for what we do.
mhm.
I've got plenty of people in my community that were fans of channels that at one point really just. I mean, you're one of them. You know, you
Yeah.
were a Ghost
Mhm.
Theory fan, and then looked at what I did and went, "No, absolutely not." And the same thing has happened with there's a channel called Lenny and Ben. I went after for a while, really haunted things like that, and the fans they don't come around specifically because of something I've said at the time. They're like, "You're just a hater," and then it's it's lodged in the back of their brain, and then something will happen. They'll come back. They're like, "I'm so sorry, but I've just seen this, and yeah, you were right all along." And I'm like, I've done my job there. And the one thing that I don't do when they come back and they say, "Oh well, I believe you now because of this," and I'm so stupid. I'll never agree and say, "Yeah, you are. You're stupid, but welcome aboard." It's like, well, no, he or others will convince hundreds of thousands of people every month without fail that it is 100% real. You're not stupid. You're not even gullible. It's your belief system. And to me, these people that do that are mocking their belief systems.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you're totally right on the belief, and people want so badly to believe that they'll accept evidence with a lot lower threshold than they ought to, and so I actually think it's good to have both. I think we need your demeanor and we need my demeanor because some people aren't going to listen to me. Some people are going to go, "He's a little too nice." The message isn't going to stick in their head the way they
Mm.
stick when somebody takes a more, I don't know, what would you call your approach? More fiery approach, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely an aggressive approach, a
yeah.
more aggressive approach. It's not like I'm waving my fist and be like, "You lying back! I'm going to come and
No,
do
yeah.
whatever." It's more. It's more the my belief system is constantly being challenged or worse, ridiculed because there's so much crap out there, and it's really sad to see that the crap that's out there is far more popular than what any of us do. Even the best legitimate channels are a fraction of the size of Sam and Colby, Twin Paranormal, or any of the big guys that they just do the same thing every week, and it's all the equipment. It's not. That's not a fair statement. It's their personalities, the way they look, and the equipment.
Yeah, I often, with Sam and Kobe in particular, and those big types of channels, I have to wonder, how long and how early do they reach people? Because I think what I've noticed from my friends who I've talked about it with is they started watching young and have just continued for the personalities. So they might hook them in with some of the flashy gadgets and gizmos, but the reason they stay is a mixture of looks, personality, everything else they can add to it. But it's all still based on one big lie, and that's kind of
Yeah,
the issue. And it's still not right to
no,
go that way. And I'm sure they can convince themselves that what they're doing is fine. But at the end of the day, you are misleading your audience. And that's something I continually tell. Even investigators who mean well, but misuse these devices. Like you can mean so well and go in with such good intentions. But if you're using pseudoscience and broadcasting that to a large audience, you are a part of the problem, whether you like it or not.
yeah,
And you convince people to do the same and they follow your lead. And my hope is now that we actually, this community, it is still small, but it is growing rapidly. And I think part of that, or part of my hope is that as this continues, we will do the same, but with a solid foundation in science so that we'll see, people are like, oh, I found you when I was 12. I found you when I was 13 and I've watched you the whole time. And that would help us, I think. And it's something we don't have because it's a relatively new, you know, niche of YouTube and subfield of the paranormal, if you will.
yeah. I mean, we've only got to go back 5 years, and I think the only debunkers that are still around from 5 years ago are Crow of Judas, Dandalf, and the Sheep.
Yep.
Myself, Side Eye Guy, yourself. There's so many of us have come in after that, and without those guys, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Because I kept putting out these reaction. To me, they were reaction videos. I'm putting out reaction videos. People are calling me a debunker, and I'm like, nobody watches debunking. What are you on about? And then I found a Mr. Grey video, and I was like, I used to watch this guy gaming, and then through him, I found Crow of Judas. And I binged, not didn't bin, I binged Crow's content because he has the
Mhm.
ability to make me belly laugh with just stupid noises and fat
Oh, his
jokes and
spirit box, his spirit
yeah.
box. Oh, they're so good. I love them.
Yeah, he messaged me about that, and I was like, "You bastard!" Because me and Crow, we keep having these issues. We've got these really funny ideas, and then we put a video out, and we're like, "Damn, you done me again!" The Spirit Box 5000, I think I called mine, and then he called his the Ghost Chatter 5000 or something. We both had a very similar idea, and I was like, "Right, I'll just trim mine back, and it'll just be a little icon in the screen instead of going full on into it like Crow did."
Yeah.
Right. Does Mason think those who try to get money off people grieving, i.e., we can talk to your loved one for a set amount of money, as fakes, grifters, or lousy bastards? Don't make him
I
swear.
Well, I know they are lousy bastards, 100%. There's no excuse for that. The ITC stuff is insane. I actually am surprised in this case that YouTube hasn't stepped in or that the families haven't started really suing, because there really is no way to even make the claim that what you're doing is it's detrimental to everyone involved in a way I have
Yeah,
not seen.
there's there's very few people I think should be deplatformed, and there's very fewer that I would ever publicly see should be deplatformed because it can be seen as trying to set your audience on someone or something that those guys I've got no qualms in saying they need to be deplatformed because it's disgusting what they do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I know there's probably like an ITC channel out there that is talking to nobody. We can't say it's everybody, but most of these ITC channels are just completely outrageous. And I agree. I think they should be deplatformed.
Yeah, and the damage it does when people you probably haven't had this yet, but it'll happen. You will have somebody reach out to you and say, I was a fan of X channel. I believed everything. And then something happened, and I thought I was losing my mind because I couldn't communicate, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. I've had people, 4 in total, that were right at the end of their tether, to a point where I can't see what they were thinking of on YouTube. And then when they discovered that they were having the wool pulled over their eyes, it actually made them feel a bit better than believing the lie and then thinking that they didn't have the gift or their family didn't care enough to visit them. And you'll experience that at some point. I know Parple, when he was debunking, did. Dandolf certainly has. I think Crow has. Shape for sure has. So you'll experience that. But that's when you see the real damage that they do in people's mental health. Because it goes beyond belief then. Then it goes into you're messing with their belief, but you're giving them false hope, and you're giving them false hope about their loved ones, and using their families for financial gain is just atrocious.
Yeah, and the damage that occurs when that false hope wears off, that's yeah, it can get
Yeah,
really bad.
but now they've got somewhere to turn to now, because previously they didn't have anywhere to go. Whereas now these people tend to filter into the debunking community, and those people are so loyal to us. I mean, I've got a moderator that used to really enjoy the twins until she found my channel, and then was like, "Those motherfuckers!" And it's a mod of mine that initially was like, "Who's this guy calling them out?" And you'll build fans like that, especially when it comes to properties, because something that I see happening a lot now is, right, I've paid for this haunted location. Every team I've watched go in there has something. So I've paid £200, £500, £1,000. I've gone in there and nothing has happened. And it's like, well, that's the standard. You're looking at these teams that are they're just faking, and you've gone in there expecting, and this may not be the fault of the homes, but they do, a lot of them lean into they'll never call out somebody faking in their houses, I don't think.
No, I've never seen it.
No, because it's advertisement for them. Oh, Sam and Colby had something thrown at them. And if I'm not saying this has happened, but if a building owner was to see Sam or Colby do that and then scream and run, what was that? That building owner has nothing in his interest to say, actually, those guys with 35 million subscribers through that, they're better off just letting them run riot with it.
Yeah. There was one example against that. It was Sam and Colby, actually. I saw it in a Side Eye Guy video. God, I'm blanking on the house now. I want to say like the Bel Air house or something, where they had broken, but it was different because they had gone in and they had acted a fool pretty much immediately and they were kicked out. I don't think it's the same, because I think you're dead right on. It is an ecosystem between YouTube paranormal creators and the locations. And the more views that the YouTube paranormal creators get, the more people go to their locations. And the real kicker, and I never hear anyone talk about this, is there are teams that will see these YouTubers go, and they won't go just once. They'll go every month, and they'll drop, tens of thousands, 20s of thousands of dollars on these places. And even when they find nothing, they will continue to go back because they have so much trust and faith in the creators. And that really, really bugs me. And it finally started to come out in this last video I put out.
Yeah, I'm halfway through it, because there's channels that I watch in here, and then there are channels I watch in the living room on the sofa, enjoyment. And you're one of the guys I watch on the TV, as opposed to sat there sort of microscopically analyzing every frame or whatever. So answer as comfortable as you feel with it. With what you are doing, going to locations, proving, disproving, and then you've made some decisions. You've said, I think this place is or isn't. Do you worry about a backlash then, or legal ramifications?
So one thing I did before, I can go ahead and say it. So I make the claim that, in my opinion, the Garnet House is staged. The items within it are so um, set up to fail that, I mean, and it's so blatant that it's impossible to miss. You
Yeah.
just can't. And I show hundreds of photos and videos. But before I did that, obviously I got in touch with Kenny, who has a legal team who goes through this somewhat regularly to talk about what I could and couldn't say. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the intent of the location or of the owners or anything like that. I'm just looking at the items. But I made sure I had enough money that if somebody tried to take me to court, that I could fight.
Yeah.
Because that I think is the ultimate weapon that people and obviously I'm just speaking generally here. Location owners have that as a weapon. They have money to throw at a legal case where a lot of us don't have that money. And
Yeah.
I even say in the video that, um, I think I had ended up. It cost a lot of money to do that investigation, all out of pocket. And I even made the point to demonetize the video and say, look, it's not about the money. It's
Yeah.
about the truth. And I want the truth to come out more than anything else. But the money does help as a defense against people who are willing to come after me for telling the truth. Now, that's not
Yeah.
an excuse to not back up your claims with sufficient evidence. Because if I made those same claims and I didn't provide hundreds of photos to back up what I was saying, the burden of proof is on me to back up what I said. And if they ended up dragging me to court over it, I would probably lose. And so it is really important to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I covered the
Yep.
basics on that one.
Right. Would you ever go into a debate with the popular creators about their ghost hunting ways, or do you think it's a waste of time?
Debates in general, I'm not a huge fan. I feel like most of the time people don't get anywhere. And they're not. I've never really watched paranormal debates, and I would be open to the idea with certain teams. I think, if you put me in a room with Sam and Colby, we're never getting anywhere. Uh but
No. See, Sam and Colby are the anomaly, though, because Sam and Colby could come out tomorrow and say it's all staged, it's all fake. We've been, it's just been fun for years, and I don't think it damaged their reputations at all. Yasko's another one. He did it. He put the for entertainment everywhere, and it didn't. If anything, it helped him because he was then given more freedom to be more insane with what he's doing and screaming and shouting more. He's become more of a comedy horror show as opposed to I'm a legitimate investigator. And I think those guys, I don't think Sam and Colby would ever come clean, but I don't think it would hurt them. But for me personally, I couldn't debate. I've offered 2 or 3 people to do it, and then they've never taken me up on it. There's the other problem: is most of them wouldn't take us up on it. My biggest fear is I would make myself look worse because at some point I'll just say, "You lying bastard, shut the fuck up."
yeah, I think also just people go in and they don't want to like in a debate. No, you're not actually listening to the person on the other side. You're just preparing your next statement,
Yeah.
at least in a lot of the debates I see. And that just doesn't interest me. I think through my videos, usually I can prove I can change people's minds that way because
Yeah.
it's kind of their choice whether or not to watch. Like if you just stick us in a room together and you're forced to listen to me, I'm not sure you're going to listen to what I have to say, Like
Yeah, I personally think you would fare better with it than me because especially if it's with somebody equally as hot as me, somebody that's gonna be like, I've never faked anything. I'm like, exhibit A, B, C, D, A point 1.2 point. How much do you want? And that's what I was going to do to a UK creator. That I was like, right, you want transparency, both sides, absolutely fine. Come on my live, and we'll discuss it. But I've got evidence, I've got exhibits, and I want you to explain. And he wouldn't engage any further. And I'm like, well, what's the point then?
Yeah, that's the other question is like, what are you going to pull out? Like when I say something along the lines of, explain why EMF is connected to the paranormal. I have a lot of evidence on my side to prove that, there is no evidence, which is kind of a weird, maybe a bad example, but they're not going to have anything to draw from with any credibility. And so the best case scenario is they do pull out a bunch of stuff that doesn't have any backing in science. And I go, look, that's well and good, but there's no backing in science. So I can't talk about it. And then we sit there blankly staring at each other like this, like my original YouTube videos where I don't even bother to blink.
Yeah.
Penny likes to do that all the time.
If Mason actually saw something paranormal, would he question as much as he does now?
I believe I have seen very weird things. I am a believer in the paranormal. And one of the reasons is obviously childhood. I know a lot of people experience strange things during their childhood. But I actually, even when I got older, as recent as a few years ago, saw some very, very odd things. And if I saw something on an investigation, I would tell you. If it was something where I legitimately had no explanation, you would be the first to hear it from me, because my interest is not, is it paranormal or can I debunk it? It's what's the truth. And that's important because there's biases on both sides. I can be biased on an investigation and go in and only try to debunk, and that would be wrong. And there's, obviously a lot more people on the other side who go in just to prove the paranormal, and both sides are in the wrong there. I think it's good to be in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, there are very skeptical or complete skeptic debunkers that don't go in just to prove one way or the other. They go in to look at the claims, see if ultimately even Kenny Biddle would absolutely love to have an experience that just leaves him like, what? So the whole thing of debunkers only go into this to crap on teams, debunkers only go into this to disprove the paranormal. I'm like, I don't know of a single debunker whose sole intention it is to just destroy the paranormal. I think it's to get to the truth of the paranormal, no matter what that truth is.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Coming from a background in software engineering, has there been any skills or experience that you found beneficial in scrutinizing the paranormal, recognizing patterns, anomalies, or is it just general logic?
So for devices, it does come in handy. And with the rise in popularity of the ghost apps, it's becoming a bigger and bigger skill. I'm actually probably going to tackle Spotted Ghost next, is what I'm thinking. He uploads a lot of YouTube video content, and I went and I was watching some the other day. And I don't have an opinion one way or the other yet, but something I thought was interesting is that he shares source code on YouTube. And so I have a unique ability in this case to go through and verify what he's claiming in his videos, because I can see the source code. Granted, I might not be able to see all of it or the parts that necessarily matter, but that's a unique skill set that I have. And it was similar in my GhostTube investigation. There was some certain claims that were made from the devices that just, as a software developer, make no sense. For instance, the idea of the phone sensors, the magnetometer, for instance, that triggering the word bank for these apps and then spitting out a word. Now, on the back end, I can tell you that the most important part of that transition is what is the formula from taking those magnetic readings and transforming them and kind of just connecting a line to a word. And it's the part that they never talk about, because that's the piece people think is paranormal and is entirely decided by the software developers. It's actually why I have no sympathy for software developers involved that do that kind of thing, because you have to know exactly how those words are correlated to the magnetometer readings. And that's the part that normal people who don't have that, unique skill set believe to be paranormal. And you're taking advantage of that. And that's a big problem, I think. Not to say Spotted Ghost has done that. I have not started that investigation yet, just to put that out there. So
all I will say is, with him, good luck.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Hi, Beardo and Mason. We really enjoy your approach, Mason. Do you decide your investigative approach based on historical research or claims, the location when you get there, or both?
I will do historical research as long as it pertains to a particular claim in the house. I always do it before I get there because for someone investigating claims, you need to know beforehand so I can go buy the equipment I need. For instance, in this Garnett house, I had heard that the floors were pretty bad. So I went out and I bought a laser level so I could measure them and get accurate readings. And if I went in and then noticed that, oh, the floors are bad, well, now, am I going to run to Walmart? I'm not sure Garnett even has a Walmart, but uh, so there's that aspect to it. And I do understand the idea to some extent of people wanting to go in blind and
Yeah,
then be able to match experiences to stuff that's already happened. But for paranormal claims, it just doesn't work. Um,
yeah,
and you have to be able to verify the other claims first, anyways, to match them up. Because if you just match up two claims, but we can't prove either claim, then I'm not sure it helps, if that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, I'll disagree to a point there. For example, 30 East Drive, one of the original claims was, now we can't prove it now because this happened in the 70s.
Mhm.
One of 60s. One of the claims was that a crucifix took off from a kitchen worktop, landed on a young girl's back, and burned her. So we've got nothing to substantiate that. But
Yeah.
if I go in there, place a crucifix on that countertop, and it does jump off, land on somebody's back, and burns them, then that's, to me, I'm like, well, holy shit. Because people are going to say, "Oh, you staged that or you faked that." Of course they are, because it's something so incredible that I would, of course, people are going to question me. I'd have to wait for the questions, but in my head, at least, or for the guys that are with me, it'd be like, that was the claim, and it's happened. Something that incredible, at least for us 3, 4 people in the house, that has happened. And then, obviously, once you've finished laughing because somebody's running around the house trying to pull a crucifix out of their skin or whatever, that would be something so profound, and it links back to an old claim.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, I think I'll change my mind a little bit on that because you do have a point that it would strengthen the case by not knowing that beforehand because it would strengthen the idea of it not being set up because you didn't know
Mm.
in that particular case. So yeah, I'll have to rethink my answer to that. I do like that.
Yeah, because it fascinates me the amount of times I went to 30 East Drive, and the only claims there were certain claims that are world famous. You know, she was pulled up the stairs by a hair, keys falling out of the walls, and things like that. I was aware of those, but I wasn't aware of everything. And I'm like, I've been there 7 times, and I wasn't aware of every claim. That's on me. Why did I not do anything other than look at what was on YouTube and the main sort of claims that were put into movies and put into books and on TV shows and stuff? That's on me then. But I'm like, there's so many claims there that have been completely ignored for me to sit in that house, pay a fortune to do it, and be like, Fred, are you there?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I do usually like because that's a good point. I like claims that predate YouTube. I'm
Mm,
not saying I won't investigate YouTube claims. Like for instance, the beach ball at the Garnett house that happens so frequently on YouTube that like I
yeah,
have to investigate that. But if it's like one team and they go, "Oh, I cold spots," well, that doesn't really mean much to me. But if in 1965 they say, "Okay, actually, this flower it froze solid," well, then hey, I'm at the store buying roses again.
yeah,
They
uh,
hold a little bit more credibility to me, at least.
yeah, yeah. So Christian asks, how frustrating is it to watch out for what you were saying about locations just because lawsuits, even though you might be correct?
It's a little frustrating, but I would also say it helps in a way because I do need to be able to back up my claims. I shouldn't be saying just whatever I want to say. I need to make sure that I have the evidence to back up what I say. This confirms that I must. Like, there's no way around it.
Do you know what my original argument used to be when people were threatening to sue? It was fucking stupid. But do you know what my original argument was?
What was it?
I haven't got to prove that you're faking. You've got to prove the ghosts are real. And I was like, I'll win every court case. F you. Kenny was like, shut your
Yeah,
mouth.
it sounds good on paper. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I originally thought that as well. And then the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh shit, I better
Yeah.
get this right. And I was fortunate enough because this community was already here to learn that info before I started. But like for people like, Shape, Crow, I mean, all the early guys on the scene. I mean, how are we supposed to know that? I don't know. And a lot of times it is annoying. Usually the teams, when I go to debunk something, because there is nuance to it that we should discuss. Like, I I don't think it's nearly as big a deal to say somebody like Twin Paranormal is faking than like a small team that's trying to do legitimate work and happens to, in one case, what something they've done is not adding up. Like they deserve different amounts of respect and care when you go about making claims against them. Like I don't have any problem, and maybe they should all be the same, but I think, in reality here, you know,
To
there's
a
a difference.
point, I agree with it. If somebody is just believing the equipment, in fact, I've got a video coming out. It's either late next week or early the week after, and I got sent a link. Can you check this team out? Do you think they're fake? And I emailed the woman back. So I've watched it, or as much of it as I could. They're not fake. I haven't seen them fake anything. I haven't seen them pull any wires or use masking, but they are so heavily reliant on equipment that is 100% broken and there's power everywhere, cables hanging down. Maybe they just don't know. And in that video, I get to the end of it and I say, I don't think they're fake. I think that they're just really ill-informed. They've been watching Simon Colby or whoever the top guys are. It's how if they watch what I've said and then they keep going out, keep doing the exact same thing and not take anything in, at that point, that's when I'm like, come on now, you know the score. I know somebody was Seg was on about the DR60 the other day. It's down to belief, and I'm like, is it? For me, it's not quite. It's then down to belief when you're paying over the top to get a piece of equipment where there is so much information out there to tell you that it just doesn't work the way you think it does. And there's a very logical, rational explanation as to why you get those screams, and it is an unshielded microphone. I think that people that know that, for example, Haunted Finders Tom, I've spoken to Tom a lot this week after his stepfather had a pop at me. Tom has been fantastic. And he's like, if you ever want to debunk, feel free. He was like, can I ask about the DR60? And I was like, yeah, it's a piece of shit. I explained why, and he went, right, I'm still going to use it. I was like, you're going to get called fake. And he went, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think you're spot on there. There are a lot of people that are just uneducated and they don't understand the equipment. The thing is, once somebody tells you the truth and gives you, real hard evidence on why it's been debunked, it's what you do next that matters to me. If you continue on, then I think, that's fair game. You are actively promoting pseudoscience when you have been told better information, when you've been given all of the information. But
And
to your point, yes, so many teams just haven't seen that info.
The one I refuse point blank to believe that people believe is the flashlights. They've got to spend so long to get that just right, just on the cusp. It's not easy to do. To go to that level, and you'll know what you're doing because you've got to find that you physically, it's not like the DR60, you just turn it on and wait. You're physically manipulating that device to a certain point where it's just going to turn on and off. Those people, I can't say, no, they're innocent. That to me is just like, no, you know what you're doing there because you have to physically set that up. That can't be belief. That is clicks and views.
Yeah, I think all of the flashlights I see on YouTube, I'm inclined to agree with you there. I have met people who legitimately believe the flashlights though, but again, it all is like it's just belief. They haven't thought about it for a second longer than, yes, I saw it on YouTube. I trust that guy. Why would he steer me wrong? I'm going to do exactly what he did. and they never, that critical thinking side of their brain is just on pause because of the belief. And the second that you tell them, right, the second you tell a legitimate person who believes in that, hey, why do you have to turn it like that? That little side of their brain clicks on, and then they get it and they stop doing it. Usually, or they don't.
I mean, I
then
did
they know.
an all-female team a couple of weeks ago, and they did the flashlight trick. And I'm always more careful with females because the way I've been weaponized for certain phrases and things, I'm like, right, don't go down that route. So they do the flashlight trick. And then in my video, I'm like, maybe they just don't know any better. But, and then somebody said to me, you need to rethink what you've just said there in the comment section. What do you mean? Go back to the beginning of the video. Because one of the ladies actually says at the beginning of the video, I've heard all of the things for and against the flashlight trick. I still choose to believe. And it's like, well, that's on you.
And there's no excuse. That's entirely on you.
At that point, you're faking, in my eyes. I'm not saying that everyone's got to agree with me. It's the whole point of YouTube. But Alexis asks, what do you think about Smug Puppy?
Oh, I've seen your videos on it. And that's all I've seen as far as Smug Puppy goes. I don't have too much.
Oh, there's an interesting one. How did you get the floor plans for the Garnet house? Did you deep dive into the history part of the story, and was it hard since the house is so old?
A mixture of my security system that I set up. And that's another important thing that I think more and more teams need to be doing. You can buy, I say cheap, but compared to like Ghost equipment, it's not that bad. Like a $400 security system with 8 cameras that will cover a small sized house. And that's why I tend to investigate, not that I wouldn't investigate big places, but there's so many unknown variables with them that it almost defeats the purpose to some extent. Because you'll just never be able to dispel all of the potential mundane causes. Sorry, get back to the point. So when I walked around the house, I went, holy shit, I cannot figure out which room is which. I don't know where I am. And as I got lost, I started thinking more and more, I need to make a floor plan for people. So I made it. I made it from my own memory and from the security system. And Kenny gave me the great idea to go into every room and take a photo from each corner, which was perfect. And that's what I needed to make sure that I actually got a decent floor plan. Now, it's not like accurate by, an actual floor plan standard. I did look for the real floor plans. I couldn't find them anywhere, but it gives you a general idea. And then I thought it was fun to put the Call of Duty mini map marker as I went around. I thought that was so fun.
You nerd.
Pain to put in, but it was worth it.
Yeah. Smart though. I like it when people do those little nods to the things that they're interested in outside. Like, obviously, I'm a massive comic book nerd, so I've started doing the little Daredevil skit with me on a rooftop and stuff. The Ouija brothers, their transition sound when they transition from one room to another, you get like that fade to black. The noise in the background here was bugging me for ages, and I couldn't work out what it was. So I text Steve, and I'm like, what the hell is that noise? Because I know it. He's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I was like, Jesus, it's such a mundane, like, sound, but I recognized it, couldn't tell where from. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that it was from. I find these little Easter eggs to what people like in their videos, like the Call of Duty thing, and that's really cool.
You might like this. I did that for Invincible the other day.
Yeah.
Do you like Invincible? I love Invincible. So I put in title card like sequences every once in a while. There's the like, are you sure meme? And I kept including that. And then at the end, I just put the big Invincible title card. And it was, I love doing little things like that.
Andy from Ghost Squad. I have been representing. This is now my walk-in / jogging hat. Look at the color on it, Andy. Do you agree that the love of the paranormal and building a real community comes before money?
It absolutely should, but I also want to stress the idea that you still have to favor truth over love of the paranormal, because I love the paranormal and I know many other people do, but that love of the paranormal can be just as blinding as a love for the views and the money and everything else. So I'm going to say that I love the truth, and that's uh, unfortunately the truth tends to lean against the paranormal. But I do love the paranormal as well, and I would really love, it's very awesome to be in the debunking community and a great debunker. But can you imagine being the guy that proves the paranormal is out there? To
It'd
be the
be.
person who actually does it? I mean,
Do you know what? It's going to be a skeptic. It's going to be somebody looking. It's not going to be somebody with a video camera. It's not going to be somebody making YouTube videos. It's going to be a scientific mind investigating a specific claim or looking into something that we don't yet have a name or a term for. And they're going to, if it's real, be like, right, this is exactly what it is. The term for it is interdimensional bleed or something like that, where they prove that there's some thing with time or dimensional space or quantum. What I know people throw around quantum mechanics as a get out of jail free card, but something along those. I'm not smart enough for it, but that's going to be the type of person that will discover whether it is or isn't. I mean, say discover it isn't. According to science, it isn't. So, but I severely underestimated how much work is still going on into the paranormal, specifically in the UK universities. There's loads of them still have dedicated departments, which I didn't know about.
yeah, I've been impressed with that as well. And I will say, so if there was going to be a type of investigator who could move the paranormal field forward, and I'm really glad you had him on, the APRF would be the team. And the reason would be if it just so happens that they are at a location and the 1 in a million event happens. And let's say a phone flies across a 30-foot room, lifts up, and then goes left and flies into the wall. Well, they would have the data loggers to go, when that happened, there was a drop in temperature by 30 degrees. And then you know what we can do? We can actually start to tie environmental data to the paranormal, because currently, and it's a huge misconception, we have no environmental data we can tie to paranormal events. We just don't have any. And until we do, even scientific testing is extremely limited. So, here's hoping, but
Sorry. If Mason came to the UK, would he do a collab with Beardo?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, I would. We could go anywhere, honestly. I want to see 30 East Drive. I really do. And I know you've been there too many times, so we could go somewhere else. But
no, it's one of those places that I said I'm done. I've been there so many times, and then the lure. I've been asked to go back twice this year, and I said yes twice because I would kick myself if I said no, and then something happened. Because I wouldn't be able to say yes or no either way. I'd just be like, I wasn't there.
And of course, it would be the one time you said no.
Probably,
as is always the case.
Yeah. Right. And what would be your dream investigation?
Oh God, it's weird for me because, and this is what I was thinking about the last question. I'm like, well, really, what place has the most claims? What has the most testable claims? Because the more claims I can test, the better. And it was one reason I actually really enjoyed the Garnett House. I had something to do the whole time. And I didn't even get to everything. And like, that's more fun to me than kind of sitting and waiting and doing the more anomaly hunting style. So whatever place has the most claims, I guess is my answer. It feels like a dull answer though.
Yeah, I mean, not really. But, I mean, you've got a 30 Strive, and there's not a room in that house that doesn't have more than one claim. There's claims and multiple claims in every room. So, even the coal shed it's got one of the more horrific claims. So another one would be the Four Crosses. That the first time I went, I was like, this is the flattest, noisiest place I've ever been. And then the second time we went, we know the sound of the roads, the sound of the traffic. We know it's a noisy building on a very busy road, but there were noises that we didn't experience before. And I'm like, the hell is causing that? And when our videos were so short because we had 3 guys pushing up ceiling tiles in the bathroom, chasing pipework to see if there was an airlock, and then waiting for the cycle of the urinals to go through to see if there was a whistle somewhere, or the sound had changed by the time it hit the lobby and sounded like a woman humming. And me and Mike are then like every door in the building just cracking them slightly, and then, right, I can hear a car come in, get to that door, and then you just wait. And you're like, it's not that one. While the video, we cut so much out of it because it was just us staring at doors waiting for a car to come. The night went so quick because there was something happened. Let's investigate it. And we still walked out of there like, what? We don't know what caused that. Right, that needs another visit.
I like that. And I think you could do a whole nother video with just that footage. I know I think I remember some of that in the original footage, but
on the mine isn't coming out until next week. It's taken me nearly 6 months to edit it, because obviously I've got my normal weekly content, and then I've got the gaming live streams and these live streams and stuff. I do bits at a time, and then I lost heart in it. I saw the other boys put their videos out, and I was just like, my video's the same as theirs. What's the point? And one of my memory cards corrupted, so the end is a bit like stop dead. There's no outro because I somehow corrupted a memory card. I think my battery might have died on my camera, and I couldn't. There are ways to get the footage back, but it just wasn't working for me.
That always scares me because I have a little GoPro. That is what I'm using when you see me in the footage. It is just a GoPro on a little stick, and I have his name is Investigator Bob. Thank you so much for your help, Investigator Bob. But I just have my friend, and I call him. I'm like, we got somewhere to go. And he's like, all right, when are we leaving? I'm like, today, and I'm not paying you, and sorry. And then we go, and that's all it is. And anyone could do this. I hope we see more people doing it.
Yeah. Entity 7, Joe Vitale. Well, I did zero historical research into Joe, calm down. Haunted Hill House before we went. After we went, then I did, and I got into trouble. We know. You should have said. What's Jason Hall's debunked the K2 and Ovulus recently? I haven't seen that. Really love seeing how he took the time to do that. Yeah, I get so much crap. Jason Hall's is the reason that people believe in the K2 and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but back then we didn't know any different. You've got to understand, this is the early 2000s, and the information, it was out there, but we didn't have the internet in the state that it's in now. I mean, even the internet, as good as the internet is now, most people are still turning the internet on and looking for a puppy or a cute cat or fucking AI generated,
Yeah, I think, even in 2000, when those shows were starting to really hit the scene, the claims that have created the problems we see in the paranormal field now, they were around in the 80s. They were, I mean, so, we're all still victims of the exact same claims that started in the, I want to say late 80s, early 90s is when they really took off. And, I mean, Jason Hawes is just as likely to fall victim to it. I fell victim to it. I'm sure we all have in one way or another. And,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first investigations, I've got my old phone on a tripod, my newer phone in my hand, a K2 there, a REM pod on the floor there. I think there's 2 or 3 videos where we had cat balls. And people are like, you've used cat balls. And it was like, yeah, but I can't mock people for still using them if I haven't used them. And me and Dean went out 3 times and we used them, and we were like, they're just randomly going off. It went from the first time going out, cat ball, to cat ball's going off again. And then
you did the right thing.
I left them at locations for people. I'm like, yeah, free cat balls. Just leave them in locations. Other people can use them. I don't want them.
So you did the right thing. And this is something I've talked about a lot. If you're going to test devices, because I do say a lot of times that we shouldn't be using these devices, but I also don't want to prevent people from trying to innovate and come up with new ideas just because we don't know. The thing is, you have to set a rigorous, what a measurement of success, like what qualifies success for a device on an investigation. And then if you say, I'm going to take it on 10 investigations, this is what will be success. For instance, with a spirit box. Let's say you take it on an investigation, you say, okay, we need it to say 10 words that are all based on our names specifically. It has to be our name. Cool. And then we're going to take it on 10 investigations. It needs to say 10 names each time. And then if it doesn't, on the 11th investigation, you need to trash it. You need to move on to something else. And that's what the investigators still do not do, that they need to be doing, is putting time limits for devices.
I've got a spirit box. It was developed for me by Droid Development, and basically he sent me a spirit box that cannot receive a radio signal. It just produces static. And he was like, I'm not telling you it'll never have a voice come out of it, because maybe an anomaly could occur. And he's like, and I don't mean a ghost anomaly. I mean an anomaly with a signal that somehow got in there, because it's still got components, but it shouldn't. I was like, cool, that I can use. And guess what? It's never, ever done anything then.
Yeah. Hey, and to give credit to the Capall thing, believe it or not, my first investigation, I used the flashlights. I did.
Oh, we're both as bad as each other.
Yep. I mean, you do start like you know nothing. I'd seen it before on Ghost Adventures and thought that was the way. And until someone shows you, you don't know.
The only bit of equipment that I still use long after I knew it was bullshit was the REM pod, because I found a real world use for it when I did abandons. Put it in the door, because if somebody comes in, I know they're coming in.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the only reason me and Dean used them. We'd put them in the only entrance point, because if it went off, we would know somebody was coming in.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. And I think it's actually something that's super important to be able to rule out other people interfering with your investigations. Security cams, I always have them on the doors. However many doors there are, I have to have security cams on them to prove that nobody goes in or out.
The UK were kind of lucky, because most of the houses have got two doors. You know, you got your front door and your back door, and that's your only entry points to the paid locations. And most of the locations in the UK, once you're in, you have to lock the door. It's part of the rules. You sign your disclaimer. You have to lock the door and leave the key in the door. A, so if something happens, you know where the key is. B, because, for example, 30 East Drive, it's such a famous place that people will just try the door handle. And if it opens, they will just walk in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I was at the Sally house, and we had at least 6 different people pull up during the investigation, and at least one of them tried that door. And I don't think they ended up getting in. But yeah, it was a huge problem, because we were in the middle of setup, and I hear a door jiggling downstairs. You know, if I was a different investigator, I might think it was paranormal, or they might just break in. Like, I don't know. It's always a possibility.
Right. When you originally started watching paranormal media, would you have ever seen yourself ending up on the mindset of debunking? I think a lot of us grew up with the TV shows and believed them mostly.
Did you? I guess you probably put this in chat before the flashlight thing, huh? No. I mean, when I say I was a hard believer, I was a hard believer, and that's why I'm so big on not only being just like a little bit more sympathetic to people who come in, but also the idea of that switch flipping, because I would like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, and I have an engineering mindset, and I think critically for lots of things. But this particular field escaped my ability to critically think for almost a decade. I mean, and that happens to tons of very thoughtful, smart people, and it's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm none of those things. I'm neither thoughtful or smart. But in a similar vein, I used to love Most Haunted. It was my first thing into, wow, you can ghost hunt, like, legitimately. But obviously there was Kieran O'Keefe, who private conversation is a massive influence over both of us. When he first came into Most Haunted, I couldn't stand the guy. I was like, look at this guy coming in here, just shitting on everything with these excuses for everything. Ugh. And then sort of the further the show goes on, you're like, he's the only honest one there.
Come on, Kieran, get him.
Yeah. All right. The people are in discussions amongst themselves there. Who's Bert and Ernie? Are you calling us Bert and Ernie, Fab? Are we Bert and Ernie?
Come on,
I see. for ages, I used to call me my brother-in-law Bert and Ernie because we used to sit on the sides of like camping excursions and motorcycle rallies, just mocking people, not nastily, but we'd make up stories for them and then be like, ah. And we called ourselves Bert and Ernie just for a laugh. And then one day, one of the guys comes over. He's like, "You know, that's not Bert and Ernie, do you?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't actually like the Muppets." He was like, "No, that's Waldorf." I was like, "Oh." I was thinking of the two old men in the balcony heckling.
Yeah. I mean,
Is it,
yeah.
is it Waldorf? Something like that.
I do love me some people watching.
I
I
love
do love
people
some people.
watching. I mean, to be
You never
fair,
know what's going on in someone's house. That's great.
my
I've seen so many videos of people doing the craziest stuff.
my job was to people watch. It was to shoplifting and criminal behavior, but my job was to people watch. I like to think that's kind of the one or one of the things from my real life experience that I take into debunking is I spent 13 years watching people through cameras, and there are, I'm not a psychologist, but there are telltale signs. You know, that if somebody's pretending to be aggressive and they're not, there's a little wobble in their voice and the little shakes in the hands, and I can spot that. And people do that when they're shoplifting because they're nervous. I mean, one of the biggest tells is when they do that. You're watching a camera and they meet your gaze, and you're like, the only people that give a shit about security cameras are thieves and other security guards.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I think that would be a really good skill to have. I'm not very good at reading people. That's one thing. And yours, something you do pretty well with your debunks is what I call the frame by frame debunk, where you go through and you just look at individual clip. Terrible at it. I'm just not good at it. I'm not. I don't have a lot of skill, and I've tried. You know, I watch you do it. I watch Mr. Gray do it, and you'll even see me in some lives be like, "Okay, guys, time to practice." Horrible. And I wish I could get better, but we all have these like niche skills to apply to debunking. And I really enjoy seeing everyone's
Yeah,
differences.
I don't think any one of us debunks the same way at all. I think we all got elements, but I think we've all learnt those elements from each other. I mean, my editing or my understanding of editing came from Purple and Mr. Grey. It was a video with Mr. Grey where he's just got his fingers under a cupboard doors, and then he's doing that. And then he painstakingly rotoscoped it out. And then I was like, he's left his reflection in the TV. I've got him. I've got him. And he was like, yeah, it's a 3-year-old video. I told everyone how I did it in this video. I was like, God damn it. But that's how I learnt. And then I watch a lot of, I watch a DVD and then I'll put the second DVD in, how the film was made and interviews with special effects and things like that. I love stuff like that. And I kind of tried to transfer that over. But you know, people like Dandalf, who he's fantastic with editing and understanding editing because he's a film buff, and like me, watches the the DVD that most people ignore. Or Crow Judas, the guy is just eagle-eyed, absolutely eagle. He sent things to me, bro. What do you think of this? And I've opened on my phone and I'm like, what? And I've put the PC on and I'm looking and I'm like, what? Oh, right. How the hell did you spot that? And he spots them so quick.
And you know he's spotting it on his phone probably too.
Probably. I reckon he sat dropping a deuce.
Yeah.
And he's just like, got you. Although my first 2 or 3 Smug Puppy debunking videos, I did them on my phone. They were toilet time, watching them like, that's how easy they were. Was you could spot it on your phone. Now, you can't spot it with other channels because they put more effort into the bollocks. In the 70s, there was poltergeist activity that was proven to be children had done it, but experts wouldn't believe it. Said the children were lying. Would you believe it?
I need more context. That's always like,
it'd be like the Enfield haunting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And again, if we have to rely solely on anecdotal evidence, like stories, children, adult, it doesn't matter. Expert, it doesn't matter because we need the evidence to back it up. At the end of the day.
Look, Heart is late. How many locations have you had the luxury of visiting Mason? Sorry if this has already been answered. It hasn't, as it is.
Oh, no, yeah, to investigate? Not that many actually. 5 or so. I've been to the Stanley Hotel. I've been to the Sally House a couple of times. Why? I don't know. And then I went to the Garnett House. I did the Goatman's Bridge a couple of times as well. Which, by the way, there's nothing to the Goatman's Bridge, but it is fun. It was a fun investigation to do solely because I got to. I might have the record for only climbing debunk by. I was able to dispel the myth about the portal tree, where people say that there's this tree, and so at the bottom it has like branches like this, and it goes up, and then at the top it connects. So it kind of looks like a portal. They call it the portal tree. So I climbed into it, and I tried to actually go through the tree, got stuck in the middle, but was able to get my hand all the way through to the other side and be like, my hand is still, not through a portal to some other dimension.
I love that sort of stuff because obviously the area that we live in is so rich in folklore that in the summer I'll be going out either with my wife or with Dean and just testing the folklore. One of my favorite of these stories is there's a hill that if you walk up there at midnight, the devil appears halfway up, asks you for a lift, and if you say no, he'll kill you. So there's going to be a video of me walking up a hill at midnight to see if the devil will. Of course he's not, but it's like I get to tell this cool story and then test the claim. And it's silly, but yeah, absolutely fun. Same as the cross. I didn't realize we had our own crossroads demon in Wales, and it's not that far. Well, I'm going to try and summon a demon on the crossroads, and I'm going to film it.
That would be awesome, actually. I want to investigate a crossroads. I know we have them. There's a lot of crossroads stuff in the South, especially. So I'll have to check out, see if I've got any. But that sounds like a hitchhiker's dream, honestly. That sounds like some legends created by hitchhikers. Make sure you pick them up.
Yeah. There's so many fantastic ones, but I want to tell the story and try and make it kind of an entertaining telling of the story, and then but this is the actual location. Let's do the test. Let's do what people claim brings forth the devil, a demon, or a lady in white, or whatever. Just a bit of fun, nice, easy videos without setting up equipment everywhere. Just investigate these claims that are hundreds and hundreds of years old with hundreds of accounts of people experiencing it. Alrar asks, in the past few months of guests, a common thing has been seeing a full-bodied apparition would be definitive proof of the paranormal. Would you agree, or would a different experience convince you?
It would not convince me without Investigator Bob also seeing the full-bodied apparition, because something that doesn't get talked about enough, and I showed it quickly in my video, was how much caffeine and how little sleep you get on these investigations mixed with. So when we did this last one, I live in Texas. Yeah. I drive 11 hours to Kansas, immediately start investigating, which is a full 12-hour investigation. And then, I got work on Monday, so I drive the 12 hours back as soon as the investigation ends. So we do about a day and a half of literally no sleep. And that drive home is brutal. And
I've got to ask, is Kansas like an adjoining state? Is it like directly attached to Texas, or is it passing through states?
You gotta travel up through Oklahoma. So it's not like terribly far to get to Kansas, but depending on where in Kansas, it adds another 5 hours or so. Texas itself, to travel across the entire state of Texas, depending on where you're at, it can take over 16 hours, I think. Don't quote me on that. It's something in the range of 16
For me to drive from this, I live on like the southest point of South Wales. And for me to go to the north of Scotland, I think is like 8 hours, 9 hours.
I have no understanding of that. I don't understand that.
That's 3 countries that I've traveled in 8 hours. And that's like, oof, what a drive.
I am a little jealous.
I drove from Wales to Scotland, and in the UK, they're like, "Are you mad? In one day?" And then I said, like, yeah, I'm going to be going out to stay with Jason Halls at some point. I'm going to just pop down to New Orleans or something stupid.
I
And
heard
everyone's
you say
laughing in
that.
the
I
chat. And I was
remember
like,
when you said that. I
22
was like,
hours!
yeah. Yeah, I was like, he has no idea where what he's looking at.
Have you heard the fire engine siren at the Shanley? Is that Shanley or Stanley Hotel? They're claiming is a ghost saying "Mama." I've been sent that twice.
There is a Shanley Hotel, right? It's not the Stanley Hotel that they're talking about. It rings a bell, but I can't say I know much about it.
Mason, would you like to investigate the Allegheny? Allegheny?
I butcher this every time. I have seen people talk about this. I butcher it every time. I'd like to, but the thing is, like, I don't know how I would do it. I don't know how to. There needs to be very specific claims, and I'm gonna have to accept the fact that I cannot rule out so many environmental factors, and that bugs me real bad. Now, would I do it for fun? Absolutely. How exactly I would make the video would be a lot more complicated. Hopefully, there would be enough claims to where I can just say, "Look, that may be one where I literally have to go, look, this is a debunk only because I cannot confirm that I can rule out enough." Oh, good.
Allegheny. Right. So something that's always popping up is like ideal locations, and I've said it the last few weeks. My ideal location would obviously be Alcatraz because it's Alcatraz. It's famous for so many things, and the two reasons I want to do it: number one, the ghost hunting; number two, real life Call of Duty.
Be so fun, like a paintball tournament, debunker paintball tournament.
Yeah. How cool would it be? I mean, it'd show us all up because we'd all be like, I mean, you look physically fit. Me and Joe Vitale would be lying on the side somewhere like, we didn't even get to the prison.
No, I'll be right there with you. I'm not a cardio man.
No. Any locations in the UK, US, Europe, and Asia you would like to visit?
I always forget the name, but I do put a decent amount of stock in Kieran O'Keefe, and he always talks about that one island where there was a bunker from World War II. God, I cannot ever remember the name. I have had chat tell me so many times. That's where I want to go. I'm sorry, I cannot.
I can't remember the name of it.
But do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Alcatraz, that's what's up. Yo, my bucket list. Heart! English, please. So, I got sent a video this week, and it's a very small channel, and they've gone to that forest in Japan.
Oh.
And it's the only video that I started recording, and I got 20 minutes into, and I went, you know what? I'm scrapping it because I've got nothing nice to say about the people. I've got nothing nice to say about the frankly atrocious investigation. I was like, and given the history and the story and stuff, is there anything you've come across where you're just like, I'm not touching that, even to put the truth out there? It's just so touchy a subject.
So I can't think of anything directly, but I have heard a lot of people talking about just people's stories in general that they put out there, and it is kind of an interesting subject of like people want to share their experiences with others without scrutiny. Wow, I can't even say that.
Scrutiny?
Without scrutiny. Thank you. God. And to some extent, I agree with that. And so there have been stories where I hear people telling them, and it becomes very clear to me very quickly that they just want to tell this story, their personal experience, especially if it involves like family and that kind of stuff. I don't touch it. It's clear that this gives hope to them, and there's absolutely no reason for me to try to take hope away from people who just want to have experiences, personal experiences. Now, then again, if you get into the bigger stories where there's lots of claims, they make movies out of them, then hey, I think they deserve to be critiqued. And once it's on the internet, truthfully, you have to accept critique to some extent. But personally, that tends to be how I look at it.
With Alcatraz being mentioned as a bucket list investigation, any locations you would never investigate due to ethical or ownership? I wouldn't investigate anywhere I'm not welcome.
The Logan Paul forest is for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Anything. There are also certain battle sites that I think it would be just no tasteful way to do it. Now would they be awesome? Probably.
Yeah, there's me and Dean did an investigation once at we didn't realize what we'd walked onto. And it was just there's this trail, and the trail is there's the figures of coal miners and stuff seen, and we were like, right, let's go, let's investigate the claims. We walk in the trail, we get to the spot, and then we're like, oh, it's a remembrance statue. And I was like, can we? I was like, as long as we're respectful, and it was a nice hot summer's night. The birds were chirping. It didn't get dark until like 11 p.m. And we were filming, and then we were still using apps. We were testing apps, and then I looked down, and there was nameplates on bricks. I can't remember the number. And I looked down, and I saw the same surname on the same plaque 3 times. There was a 47-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 13-year-old, and I was like, "Holy shit! That's an entire family wiped out in a mining disaster." And I think the app said something like demon, and I was like, I shouted at my phone like, "Well, there's no fucking demons yet." I lost my shit, and I was like, "We're going home." And I was like, I don't know what to put. I asked so many people, "Do you think I should put it out?" And I sent it to like Paul from Ghosts on Trent. He was like, "Look, you've been respectful. You've told the story. The people. I mean, if you live local to it and you didn't know about it, it's getting the word out. If there's anything you feel is a bit like uncomfortable, then take it out of there and just leave it as a remembrance rather than, you ghost hunted these poor families of miners."
Yeah. There are actually probably a lot more cases like that than I think about. It's also another reason I wouldn't do like regular graveyards. I think there are probably exceptions to that. But like, I mean, I can't imagine I'm sitting there with Ghost Tube open and there's like actively families grieving around me. It would just really upset me. So I tend not to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Vicky Emming, hello. Blanket hello to everyone. Kristen, yeah, Auschwitz and similar, some places couldn't investigate. I couldn't visit there for any reason. I know people do, and people go there and they'll to remember, and they go there for positive reasons, and they go there to make sure that we don't forget one of the worst atrocities in human history. I would not want to go there for any reason whatsoever. I can't think of a single reason. For me, I'm not saying the people that go there for whatever reason are wrong. If you go there ghost hunting, I'm going to call you really horrible names. But I just couldn't. The heaviness of knowing what happened, I couldn't possibly, even out of respect for those people, I couldn't go there for the atmosphere or whatever the reasons people. No, horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Dean's just said there were 112 miners, and each block of the monument represents one miner. Now, we didn't know about that until we got these placards and stuff. So obviously we were reading them, and there's a little siren that was broke. And then when we realized what we were investigating, we were like, "Holy shit, we've got to be so careful!" And it was horrible. There's people in the chat just like, "Yeah, you got really mad in that video." I wasn't just mad at the app; I was mad at myself that I'd inadvertently just been, in my head, disrespectful by even doing what we had done. So it took so long to edit because I was like, I don't want it to be just a typical ghost hunt, and it became a very sort of mournful thing because Welsh history is full of these mining disasters because we were a mining country, coal mining. What are your thoughts on the Joan? Oh, I am not going there. Same answer as before, to be honest. The Forest,
I
Auschwitz, any of them.
It's exactly the same, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the people that couldn't understand why I got so angry at a certain team for doing Jonestown, I got angry at myself for doing something far less atrocious. In regards to, some people were forced into unaliving as opposed to an accident, a tragic accident. None of them good. None of them. I wouldn't ever do that again. It made me feel like shit. I would like to see a respectful investigation of Mountain Meadows massacre site in Utah. It's a rare incident and one of the worst in US history. It deserves more acknowledgement. I think you could acknowledge that without doing an investigation, personally, for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not needed. I think you could do an acknowledgement. You could make like probably a documentary about it that would be a lot more tasteful and
Mm.
do a better job of telling the true story than we could ever do on a paranormal investigation.
Yeah, it's I personally wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do a documentary on something like that because it's just
Oh no, I wouldn't. I'm saying like
yeah,
the actual documentary crew teams that do that for a living. They I wouldn't
yeah.
touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying there, Rose. You said, sadly, it's not very known. I get where you're coming from, but I don't think the paranormal world is the best way to get word out about something that seems to have been forgotten. This may be a generalization, but do you feel that that in America, there's has to be more sensational and entertaining paranormal media, as in the UK we are perceived to be more distrusting and questioning?
I have actually noticed that to some extent, and I've wondered that. I was talking to somebody the other day about that exact thing about how it seems like our overseas counterparts seem to naturally be more questioning and thinking more critically, and I think it is partially a culture thing. We
Yeah,
have The Conjuring, and I know y'all obviously do as well, but there's just been a lot of stuff involving the Warrens and how the media sensationalized it uh, in the United States, and I think it has made belief stronger over here, and the ideals of questioning and critical thinking weaker. Um,
yeah.
now, do I think that's the legitimate answer? I honestly don't know. I'm not qualified to give a real opinion. Those are just kind of what I see off the bat.
I think with
Um,
America, we've got to take into account that everything is just bigger.
yeah.
Everything is bigger. Everything is more bombastic. I mean, your Bible Belt. The idea of a Bible Belt scares the shit out of me. And it's like religion is so you're either completely in or you are completely. It's like America seems to have less grey areas when it comes to beliefs, religions, and it's like you're fully invested or you're fully out, and they almost segregate themselves into. They almost like have areas. We don't
See,
have that in the UK. Religion is so dead in the UK.
really? Okay, I see. I didn't know that. I kind of think that's probably the answer then. And it's as another thing to consider, and why I can't give a good opinion is because you could separate the US into a bunch of different countries and they would seem completely different. Like depending on where you're at, like you're saying, like Texas versus a place like New York is so wildly different
Yeah,
that I can't give a perspective of somebody from there. Um, I only know what I know from Texas, and I would be inclined to agree. Religion's a big deal down here. You also have there's so many factors, but I'm
yeah.
glad to see that in the U.S. the debunking, the critical thinking community has been growing steadily, and I think the U.S. channels are coming around, and there are teams that are starting to wake up, and it's good to see.
Yeah,
It's good to see everywhere.
yeah, right. I'll do this one, and then I got a super chat from Glasgow because we are at the end of the stream. Mason, if you discover that your own house is haunted, how much investigation would you do yourself before you called somebody else in?
I'd call someone else immediately because I'd have to be biased. I would have to be biased. It would be a place where even if I wanted to do a good job investigating, it would be a lot. And there's also the ideas of, investigating your own home can get kind of weird. There are things I know too much about that maybe I would actually call. I'd make Kenny do it or somebody. I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it myself. I think that's my answer.
So
I'd like
last
to.
question, I'm afraid, guys. Glasgow Ghost Centers, thank you for the £5. Would you consider doing Pendle Hill or the Tower of London? This is for Mason.
Yeah, I'm interested, and I think it would just be cool to experience. I've never really gotten to that side of the world. I think when I was young, I did get to Italy, but it was a wasted trip because I was 6 or something. But
Barely
I don't
remember it.
remember it. So
Yeah.
I would love to get over there and do some investigations and just some sightseeing. I mean, we were looking at you're showing me your walk the other day on Facebook, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I've never seen anything like that. And no matter where you go in my area, like it's suburbia. There's nothing to see. I mean, there's some cool sights nature wise, but nothing in my area gets older than about 1850. And you'd be hard pressed to find locations from 1850 and before.
Yeah, so in Wales, obviously Wales is a very, very small country. There are over 600 castle sites. Over 100 of them still standing.
I am very jealous.
I did have to Google that. I think, just tell me, there's a castle. Yeah, there is one castle every 12 square miles.
Jealous. I'm holding my rage in because it's just so cool, and I really wish. And also, I'm a big metal detectorist, and God, I can't even imagine the cool. I hate watching metal detectorists from Europe because the stuff they find by comparison is just insane. Like a Roman stuff? Are you serious?
Yeah, we got a lot of history. Right, Mason, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on. I reckon we could do another one. There's so much that we didn't cover. And obviously, as your channel grows and as you get more investigations under your belt into these well-known locations and stuff, I think it'd be fantastic to have you on and pick your brains maybe about certain locations that you've been to.
Absolutely, I'd love to anytime.
Absolutely brilliant. Right, I'll stick you in the lobby. I'll say goodbye to chat. If this just cuts off, I haven't been rude, but sometimes I misclick because I'm not entirely sure what the button is. But me back there with you and end the stream, sometimes it shuts everything off.
No worries.
I did it to Justin. I was like, I even felt bad for Justin. But it's been fantastic having you on. Guys, check it's not pinned, is it? Yeah, it is. Check the pinned message. It'll take you through to Mason's channel. It's also in the channel description. Please go and check him out. Check out his content. Very, as you can see, he's a very nice guy, very knowledgeable, and a welcome addition to the debunking community. Mason, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It has been an absolute pleasure, and thank you. And honestly, I'm so grateful to the debunking community for how open they've been and allowing me to join. So thank you guys.
You are very welcome, and goodbye. Right, that is Mason. Goodbye. That was great. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, it's nice to get smaller creators on, get some extra eyes on them. He's a fantastic guy, really, really nice guy, very knowledgeable. So please do go and check him out. And yeah, I think that wraps it up. I hope you all have a very good rest of your day. Much love to you all. Beardo out.